This gives Oklahoma a lot of reasons to be optimistic.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers for tuning in with us here on Locked On Sooners, which is your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. And heading into the Red River Showdown, there's not a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the Oklahoma Sooners and what they got going on. But the Oklahoma Sooners got a defense, Jay. And if there's any reason to be optimistic about what Oklahoma's got going on, it's that.
Yeah, we've been talking about it over the last few days that this is a defense that Texas has never seen before, right? Well, this season, in comparison to the competition they've gone against, Michigan was supposed to have been the real test on the defensive side. And honestly, they've been subpar against everybody. So it feels like this is going to be different for us. But one thing I am pretty excited about, that Brent Venables had his press conference like he does, every Tuesday. And he started talking about some players. And one of those that he made mention that we did talk about that's coming back is Dasan McCullough. And I think the thing that excited me about that is he said that McCullough's been practicing for the last few weeks. So in our mind, we thought that it's probably his first time coming back and then he's going to really start, getting himself in shape. No, he's been practicing. And so the expectation is he's going to have a role with this team against Texas. Remember, last season in that Texas game, he had like 5 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and he was one of the key components on that goal line stand that we had. He was in there filling the hole up, getting some hits in. So if you bring him up now that Kendall Dobie's gone, give you kind of a little bit of a quote-unquote veteran at the cheetah spot, but if you can get him out there and let him rush like he used to at Indiana, imagine him and R. Mason Thomas and Trace Ford and PJ Adebawore all rushing at the same time. That's going to be a little tough.
Yeah, it just gives Zach Alley another piece to play with his defensive scheme, which has dialed up some really interesting pressure packages so far this season. He's a really good player. Anytime you can add another really good player to your defense is going to be impactful. It'll be interesting to see. I still expect your starting kind of linebacker trio to be Danny Stutzman, Kip Lewis, maybe, or Kobe McKenzie, we'll see. And then Samuel Omasiko. I think we see a little bit more Kip Lewis in this game than maybe Kobe because Texas has got so much speed at wide receiver and they want to play to the perimeter. They want to get stuff going in the short to intermediate game, get the ball out of Quinn Ewer's hands really quickly. They're going to want Kip Lewis's speed on the field. And maybe you don't have to worry as much about their running game because your defensive line is going to be able to stand up to what Texas's offensive line is going to be capable of. But getting Dasan back, again, like you mentioned, a big piece to their short yardage defense. We've talked about Dejon Terry and how important he's been to it. Dasan McCullough was a big part of that as well until he got dinged up and was in and out of the lineup the rest of the season late last year. So, yeah, anytime that you can add that back, it just improves the depth overall and improves your talent that you can have on the field at one time.
Yeah, it feels like that linebacker room is showing that it's really the strongest room that we have. And that's the best part about this is in a Brent Venables / Zach Alley type defense, you need to have strong linebacker play. And we're seeing that right now. That to me, it's going to be a big deal going forward because with Dasan, the way that they were leveraging him, he was spending most of the time at like the will linebacker spot. So instead of playing Mike or even Cheetah, they had him out there with a Stutz, put him out there with Stutz, put him out there with Kip all together. It's going to be fun. So that you've got a run stuffing set up at the linebacker spot, plus guys that can actually go out there on the flats or even stop plays across the middle. I think having Dasan back is going to really make it interesting to see how Sarkisian tries to scheme because he hasn't seen him all season. So he knows of his existence, but he hasn't really seen him on tape, and the players haven't really seen him on tape besides seeing him play in the game against Texas last year. But if that's not going to be the same role, it's going to be interesting. And with that frame, he's 6'4", 6'5"-ish, being able to have those long arms, be able to throw, to really like get his hands in the way of passes. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I just want to see him rush. I want him to rush like he did at Indiana and go in and just really go after the quarterback. I think that would put the biggest smile on my face, if anything.
Yeah, because I think that would leverage what he does best, which is rush the passer. He's good and he's okay in coverage. He's really good against the run. Play him along the line of scrimmage. Let him play along the line of scrimmage. Be a good edge defender. I would like to see Zach Alley go early to mid 2000s Baltimore Ravens and put Dominic Williams as your nose tackle and then run like 6 linebackers out there. And then the Texas offense doesn't know who's going to be rushing and who's going to be dropping, because you could do that, right? You could do that with really Danny Stutzman, Kobe McKenzie, Kip Lewis, Samuel Masigo, and Dasan McCullough. And you could drop a bunch of dudes. You could drop several guys and rush somebody different every single time and really keep them off balance. I don't know if they'll do that. That's not really a part of Brent Venables' scheme, but they do like to, and then include Trace Ford in the mix. They do like to drop their linemen into coverage and then, zone blitz. And so why not throw a few more linebackers out there and make something like that happen? It's going to be encouraging because you've got a lot of different things that you can throw at the Texas offense. You can have a lot of different things you can throw at Quinn Ewers because you're a more dynamic defense than what you were last year. You're better on the interior. You're better on the edge. You're better at linebacker than what you were a year ago. And so that creates an opportunity for you to be better in this game even.
Yeah, and no one really believes about how good the Oklahoma defense actually is. Like, look, Texas offense, of course, is pretty solid. They've done a very good job this entire year. And Sarkisian having a quarterback in his 3rd year there, it's a big deal. But again, Quinn's got that abdomen situation. He gets enough hits into that rib cage because we're going to be putting pressure on him. Like, the entire goal here is going to probably be as many exotic blitzes as possible, probably ones that we've never seen. So I'm sensing that there's going to be different packages and stuff once you bring in Dasan McCullough. And it's very refreshing that now that the bye week's over, we're starting to get some of those players back that are healthy that we've been wanting to see all year. They're starting to show up. And so we've survived up to this point. We're 4-1, which honestly is really good. With all intents and purposes with what we went down with the quarterback spot. Now it's all about going in there and truly executing. And I think that the defense, if you really look at the player combinations they can put out there, it's going to be intriguing. Again, I want to see McCullough getting a bunch of blitzes off the edge. I want to see him going after the quarterback. And then when you go into that defensive line, John, Dejon, Terry, Dominic, or Jaden Jackson, 2 out of those 3, who do you want to see some of those mixes of?
Well, we're going to see all of them. But,
we're going to see all of them.
I mean, Jaden Jackson's a starter.
Yeah.
I think we might have thought initially, or you might have had it in your subconscious, that maybe it was just a week 1 thing against Temple that he was going to be, that he started every single game for Oklahoma. He's played a lot of significant snaps. So I'm good with all 3 of them because all 3 of them are really good at stuff in the run. I want to see Dominic Williams as a more dynamic pass rusher, but still you're really good against the run. And if you can slow Texas's run game down and you can be really good on the perimeter against some of the screens that they want to run, you're going to have a chance to put Quinn in some long down and distances where he's going to have to drop back. And again, he's not as athletic as Arch. He's an okay athlete. He's not a terrible athlete. He's not as bad as Peyton Manning or Eli Manning, but he's not going to run away from you like Arch might. And so that's going to give you an opportunity to get pressure on him and then maybe create some turnovers.
Yeah. And I asked that because I've saw in a couple of combinations of the last couple of games that when we go with a 3-man front, I've seen Jaden Jackson as the nose, and I saw that you'd have a Dominic Williams as like a 3 or even a 4 technique. And I thought that was really interesting, like combination. I'm like, okay, so you got both of them out there, but you're moving Dominic over a little bit more. So he's kind of almost rushing like he's an edge, but then you also had an edge out there, like you had an R. Mason Thomas out there, or even a PJ standing up, or PJ down on all 4s, and then R. Mason standing up next to a Dominic and blitzing on the outside. It was really intriguing the way that we went into multiple combinations with that 3-3-5. So I was wondering, which one of the 2 out there being down together would get your attention?
Like give me Jaden Jackson at the nose. He's so quick off the line of scrimmage. He's so difficult to move. And then you give Dominic Williams more opportunities to play in one-on-one space with the guard and not take on as many double teams. And I think that creates an opportunity for you to be more impactful up front. And then when you have a guy like Trace Ford that can stand up and he can play a little bit of that 3-4 outside linebacker position and he can drop, I think that creates a lot of versatility for you. And Dasan kind of plays in a similar role. Like he can rush, he can drop, he can play a little bit in space. And so you're going to have multiple guys like that. So you might see some packages where it's Jaden and Dominic as the interior guys, Trace and Dasan as your edge. And one of those guys comes, one guy drops, and then Danny or Kip are blitzing up the middle or Robert Spears off the edge. And again, there's just a lot of combinations that Zach Alley and Brent Venables can play with. And listen, again, we've said it multiple times. I'm going to say it again. This defense is better than the defense that held Texas to 23 points last year.
Oh, yeah,
against
much better.
An offense that maybe was better than it is this year. We'll see. And definitely had a healthier Quinn Ewers this time last year. One area that we still need to see improvement from, that's up front along the offensive line. Can they be better against a Texas defense that's been pretty good so far this year? We'll see. We'll discuss coming up on Locked On Sooners.
Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season with big returns on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view some play-by-plays, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Like right now, Oklahoma is still sitting at about a 14-point dog in the Red River Shootout or rivalry or whatever you want to call it. But you can take that opportunity to go out there and play on FanDuel. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So go hit up FanDuel. Check them out, FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there that are tuning in, subscribed. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The offensive line was better against Auburn. Still not great. Might not even be able to call it good, but the run game was improved. The pass blocking situation was improved. According to Pro Football Focus, it was their best performance of the season in total. But Brent Venables discussed it and said, hey, they got to be better.
Yeah, he did. And so one of the quotes that he put out there, he said, we've got to be better. We did some good things against Auburn, not good enough. The bottom line result hasn't been good enough. And so he's pointing out that, the team hasn't played at the standard that we would have liked. But the good thing is that he does believe that now that we've got continuity, that's going to help long term. Look at it this way, John. We've got the starting five and a backup that are quote unquote healthy right now. Something we haven't seen. And this has been 2 weeks in a row, going now into our third week. Third game, that is 4 weeks that we've actually had offensive linemen practice together that are going to play together.
Yeah.
Kind of unreal if you want to be honest.
It's huge. It's so important. Duke Manningweather, who's an offensive line trainer, trains Tyler Guyton among a number of other NFL greats, probably some college guys as well. He said it can take 6 to 7 weeks for an offensive line to gel. Yep. Well, we're going on week 6 now, but it might be a little bit slower developmental process for Oklahoma because they had so many guys dinged up and in and out of the lineup. But you've got the 5 guys you projected to be starters entering the season, plus Troy Everett. The one guy that was going to be in your top 7 that isn't available, that's Gary Hatchett. He's gone for the season. But Heath Ozide is available. So you've got your starting 5 available, and that's huge, man. To be able to have the Auburn game plus 2 weeks of practice to get ready for the Red River Showdown, dude, the bye week could not have come at a better time for Oklahoma because it allows those guys to stay healthy and continue to improve and gel and work on their communication, work with Michael Hawkins, work with the run game to try and get better heading into the Texas game. If there's one area where I feel like I still have a little bit of question and I still need to see them prove their worth, it's the offensive line. And if they can do that against Texas and they can provide a run game that's consistent through 4 quarters and protect Michael Hawkins fairly well, then I'll feel really good about where they're headed for the rest of the season. That might not even lead to an Oklahoma win this week, but it can still be better and Oklahoma still not win. It just has to be better. It has to be. You can't average, what are they averaging, like 3 yards per carry? If you take quarterback rushes out of the equation, you can't be that and be at Oklahoma. That's just not good enough for Oklahoma football. Again, injuries happen. They're not an excuse, but it is context for what's gone down. It's got to be better.
Yeah, and right now having 5 guys that have been able to play together and then a 6th guy that can rotate and all be healthy, like I said, that's a big plus. Some of the young guys that we would have liked to have seen on the field were also a little banged up, so trying to get them not only acclimated at the collegiate level, but also you want to get them healthy. So I know that we'll be breaking in a lot more people as the season progresses, go in preparation for next season, in which next season should be, of course, a lot more hype because Hawkins will have a full year under his belt. You'll be prepared and you have an idea what you're going to get out of him. The run game will figure things out more, which that's kind of where I'm looking at when it comes to the offensive line. How are we going to do when it comes to open up those lanes for these running backs to be able to hit some holes? That's going to be critical in this game against Texas. The most important thing, the one thing that Mississippi State did well in that game, not only did they run the ball like 50 times, more so, with Michael Van Buren being the freshman quarterback out there, but they also caused a lot of turnovers. And so running the ball is going to be critical to take the time off of Texas, keep them off the field, basically playing keep away, while at the same time just moving up the field and getting points and putting points on the board. That's going to do nothing but add some, get some confidence in this team. I'm just ready to see what tricks and stuff we pull out with Hawkins and the team as we, go up against Texas. What are we going to do that they're not going to be prepared for?
Yeah, and I think Michael Hawkins will be a big factor in the ground game. At the same time, you don't want to run him 15 times a game. He's not built to withstand that. I mean, he's tough. I'm not saying he's not a tough dude, but just his frame. He's not a Jalen Hurts type runner. He has to get into space like Kyler Murray did and use his speed and his quickness and then get down. He's taking some hits. You don't want him taking a bunch of hits every single time he's out there on the field. But it will be a big aspect of this game is, can they contain Michael Hawkins and his speed? Because we saw Auburn struggle with that in the first quarter, had to make some adjustments, and then it got better, and they were able to slow some things down. I imagine that Texas will come into this planning to use a guy like Anthony Hill to spy Michael Hawkins early in the game, but that should open some things up in the passing game and in the run game, especially in the read option game where he's trying to make a decision to hand the ball off or keep it himself and run it. I think that can help out Oklahoma and open some things up. But in the traditional run game, you've got to find some more consistency. It was better against Auburn. It allowed you to be in some better, more manageable down and distances in that game, especially in the first half and in the third quarter. You got to find more of that. You got to find more 5-yard carries, 6-yard carries, because there weren't nearly as many negative plays or 0-yard carries against Auburn. So that's a step in the right direction. Now you got to take that a step further and gash them. You got to find some of those gash plays with Taylor Tatum, Javonte Barnes, where you're picking up a 15-yard play, a 7-yard play, and you're putting yourself in a 2nd and 3rd, as opposed to always playing from 2nd and 7 or 3rd and 5. So if they can take that step, it gives Oklahoma a great chance to win this game. Yeah,
it does. If as long as you can get the ball, not even keep the ball moving, just run some time off the clock.
Yeah.
That's really the most important thing, is keeping your defense off the field and burning that clock. I mean, that was honestly the recipe for Vanderbilt in winning that game against Alabama. It was really keeping Bama off the field and just consistently getting the first down, keeping the plays going. I think they only had one possession all game that was only 4 plays. The rest of them were over 4 plays. They were 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15. And I think that this team can do that. I think that Michael Hawkins is good enough to not only get some yards with his legs, and like you said, he does need to work on sliding. He'll get good at that, right? He'll get good at avoiding taking big hits, a la Lamar Jackson, who does a really good job of scrambling, but never gets leveled. He does a good job of getting his body and contorting his way to the ground to where you can't actually connect like you would like. Hawkins can grow up and get into that capacity, but the biggest thing is keeping the sticks going. And so being successful, like Brent Venables says, on the first down, once you get more success on first, you don't have to get a first down immediately, but getting 5 yards, 6 yards to where it's second and short and then third and short, and then you can continue to drive through that. Getting that third down efficiency number up, it's going to be critical for this team moving forward.
Yeah, if the offense can take a step forward, it's going to give Oklahoma a chance because the defense is going to give Oklahoma a chance.
Yeah,
you just got to see the offense find more consistency. We've seen some big plays. We've seen a few good drives here and there. Now it's about consistency. It's about not hurting yourself with penalties, not with turnovers, and be able to string together several drives throughout the game that gives you a chance to score 20, 24, 27 points and have a chance to win the game. One guy that's going to give him a chance, he's making the switch. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. In the app, you can use you can toggle on the feature that allows you to see the all-in price. You're not going to get any surprise fees at checkout. You know what it's going to be up front as you're looking at the seats. They have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And they've got the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing agency. I'm looking at prices right now on the Game Time app. For Alabama, you can get in $209. You want to go see a Houston or an Oklahoma City Thunder, preseason game, Wednesday night, 10-9, 7 o'clock p.m., $2 tickets. It's a great way to get the family out on a Wednesday night for a cheap price. So go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Jacobe Johnson's making the switch to wide receiver, and while it at first felt like maybe it was going to be several weeks until he was going to have an impact, well, it sounds like Brent Venables believes that he can have an impact in the Red River Showdown. They've created some packages for him. I'm excited.
I'm curious to what type of packages they are too, right? Because we know how athletic he is and how good he is in space. I'm wondering if we're going to see like some jet sweeps and stuff, or put him in the backfield with the backs. Can we see like a old school triple option set? You get, or two running backs with Jacobe and deep in a pistol formation or something. I'm just throwing out craziness, but seriously, I'm curious to how they're going to get him out in space to where he can do work. The best part is Texas has never seen Jacobe Johnson on the offensive side of the ball for us. You can go look at his tape from Mustang. I put some of that tape up, whenever they were talking about switching him over, and people laughed at me like, you had to pull high school tape? I'm like, well, yeah, he hasn't played wide receiver at the collegiate level. This is new. This is all a new beginning for him. But he's that talented, 6'2", 200 plus pounds, and he's fast with, like I said, athleticism and the ability to jump and high point the ball. He can do all of that. It's going to be interesting to see how Seth Luttrell uses him, because at this point, this is a great way for if anybody, Seth Luttrell to redeem himself as offensive coordinator. If he gets things going with him and Michael,
yeah,
he may have saved some face with the fan base.
Yeah, and I think probably what they mean by packages is like, hey, this is a series of plays that we have in our playbook that Jacobe is comfortable with and familiar with. Maybe it's like a 10-play set out of a certain personnel grouping and a certain formation. And it's like, okay, this is what we're going to throw out there with Jacobe this week. We'll continue to expand upon that. Because I don't see them necessarily using him as a jet sweep guy. I think they want to get him out in the formation and get him out in the route concepts and use his athleticism and his speed to try and create some things down the field. I think we'll see him with Deion Burks if he plays and JJ Hester trying to run some scissor concepts and getting both guys down the field, or trying to see if they can use his size on some of those curl routes that they like to run and out there on the sideline. I think you're going to see him just kind of in the traditional offense, but it's a select group of plays and a select group of concepts that Jacobe's good with. Like, all right, we feel comfortable throwing him out there in this. I don't know how many plays or packages it is. We feel good about Jacobe in this grouping. And so we're going to feel comfortable throwing them out there when we're running that personnel package or we're running that offense, because we're going to need them. We're going to need more athleticism and more of that size on the outside. Listen, Brendan Thompson's been really good on the outside, but it's kind of all you've had consistently on the outside. JJ Hester was really good. He stepped up against Auburn. Now he needs to take another step forward. If Jacobe can be that fourth wide receiver for you, that's huge, dude. It really, really is, because your young guys just haven't really proven to be consistently capable down in and down out. So if this gives you another guy that can make some plays for you on the outside, man, it could be huge for Oklahoma. I'm not going to create high expectations like Jacoby's going to go out there and catch 5 balls for 100 yards and a touchdown. No, if he catches 3 passes for 35, 40 yards in this game, that's a huge win for the Oklahoma Sooners offense.
Yeah, you just need him to be in some plays to throw things off for that Texas defense. You gotta have them thinking. That's really all it is, right? And you don't know what he's capable of yet until he actually gets on the field. We're still waiting to hear if Deion Burks is either in or out. We don't have anything official with that, so you got to wait and see what comes there. But for the most part, the critical piece and component here is what exactly can he do to make the Texas defense think? Adding him, as you mentioned, JJ Hester coming out, Jaquez Petaway. We've got a lot of players. We just need someone to step up and say, I'm going to be that dude.
Yep.
And if Jacobe can be at least a piece to help everybody else get confident, or at least help everybody else find ways to get open, that's just a win for the team.
Yeah, I need somebody to come out and go CeeDee Lamb and say,
yes, I do.
I'm him.
I'm breaking every tackle that comes my way.
Yeah. Like, I need an I'm him game from somebody in this game, whether it's Jaleel Farouk did a year ago against Texas, where he went and he stood midfield as Texas is running on the field. It is one of the best little videos I've ever enjoyed, ever seen in sports. It's cinema. It's cinema. He's out there by himself and the Texas players are just running right at him. And it's ruined by Key Lawrence getting involved, but it was awesome. And then he goes and has 5 for 130 in that game and has several big plays throughout the game. The one, the big diving catch falling away. I need somebody to come in and have an I'm him game, whether it's JJ Hester or Brendan Thompson or Deion Burks or Jacoby or Jaquay, whoever it is. Somebody needs to step up and go big, or
say that I got
Oklahoma
this.
might go home with a loss.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to play spoiler, right? Let's make it 3 weeks in a row that the number 1 team goes down. Let's get weird and make this 2007 again. Remember that year when the number 2 team lost like 5 weeks in a row? Let's do it. Let's be weird out here and start knocking teams off. Because the best part about that would be is that it will just completely muddy up the waters in the SEC of who could even make the championship. Because just about everybody, because Texas is the last undefeated team right now in the conference, and we need to be the ones to take that away from them.
Yeah, so I meant to throw this out there earlier, but I was going back over the last 11 years. The team that is ranked lower in the Red River Showdown is 5-6.
Interesting.
Sometimes that was Oklahoma as the lower ranked team. Other times that was Texas as the lower ranked team. But the lower ranked team is 5-6 in this game. It's the proverbial throw everything out the window. Rivalry game.
Yeah. It's sorry guys. There's no logic here. We're just going to play ball.
Right.
I tried to argue that with some other folks, and hey, look, this game is just weird.
It's just weird. It's going to get weird, and there's going to be times in this game that it gets weird. This isn't 2022 either, where Oklahoma didn't have a quarterback they felt comfortable throwing the football. They've got a quarterback they feel comfortable throwing the football that's going to take care of the football going into this one. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. We're going to continue to get you ready for the Red River Showdown. On Thursday, we'll have our show with Jonathan Davis of Locked On Longhorns in our crossover event of the week. And then on Friday, we'll give you our keys to the game predictions. We'll also go through the rest of the SEC slate as well and discuss that. Man, I love Red River Week. It is the best week in the college sports calendar. It's so much fun. Win or lose, we're going to have a blast this week. We're going to talk about it all as well after the fact. So make sure you're tuned in, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, or over on YouTube where you can subscribe as well. Hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports, also on YouTube, Unfair Sports. Follow me at John9Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of the social media platforms, so go follow us wherever you like to do your social media stuff. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll continue to get you ready for horns down all week here on Locked On Sooners. Boomer!
Sooner.